It would take Iran about 12 months to enrich enough nuclear material for a single nuclear weapon.
United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken is warning that Iran is potentially just months away or less from nuclear breakpoint.
Iran is 2 months away from a nuclear weapon, and it's a victory to get them 1 year away?
Iran could be less than a month away from building a nuclear weapon.
Netanyahu has made 2 tough-talking TV appearances, saying that Iran is just months away from making a nuclear bomb.
What is important to understand is that you have to dismantle the entire terror empire, and especially before its main practitioners, the terrorist states of Iran and Iraq, acquire nuclear weapons. And this, I think, has been a wake-up call from hell. It is telling us, you have the power now to act.
Once he acquires it, history shifts immediately. There is no question that he had not given up on his nuclear program, not whatsoever. There is also no question that he was not satisfied with the arsenal of chemical and biological weapons that he had, and was trying to perfect them constantly. Saddam is hell-bent on achieving atomic bombs, atomic capabilities as soon as he can.
In this September 2002 congressional hearing, Netanyahu openly called for war on Iraq and insisted that a U.S. military invasion would be hugely beneficial for the entire...
These people who chant death to America, try to assassinate President Trump twice, kill 241 of your Marines in Beirut. Killed and injured thousands of American soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq. Try to bomb a restaurant in Washington, D.C. Chant death to America, burn the American flag.
Here, get the out of the country. This is Jewish country only.
النكبة الثانية طريق עוד מעט תקום النكبة الثانية מחנה פליטים תקום.
Any overt violence, people are yelling, people are
fuck you, לכי מפה, לכי מפה, לא פה.
And so I just want to ask you if you would join me in praying for true restoration of the April that would be worshipped in the place.
Do you want these people to have nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to your cities? Of course not.
Yeah.
So we're defending ourselves, but we're also defending the world.
Why should the world tolerate you having nuclear weapons and not, say, Iran?
First, again, we never admitted to have such weapons. But the very comparison is, I must say, it's very insulting, and I tell you why. We suffered one Holocaust. We listened to our neighbors.
Is it because of the Holocaust that you should be allowed to have nuclear weapons?
You know what? This interview was finished now. Your attitude is so hostile, and your questions are so arrogant. I don't want to...
Is it the case?
Because of the Holocaust, this man believes that he has the right to nuke whoever he wants, and nobody else is allowed to have any nukes. Same way, they believe that they can commit genocide, they can steal people's land, they can do all of that, and then if you just speak up, they just call you an anti-Semite.
I want to talk about the nuclear threat, and I want to talk about President Trump. You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one.
As you go back and look into the JFK assassination, there's substantial reason to believe that one of the reasons that JFK was assassinated is because both the CIA and Mossad wanted Israel to have nuclear weapon capabilities so that we could deter the Soviets in the Cold War.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say, the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone. There is a new age. Something new is happening.
And that is speculation on your part, or you have some evidence to that effect?
I was asked the same question in 1986. I had written a book in which I had said that the way to deal with terrorist regimes, well, with terror, was to deal with the terrorist regimes. And the way to deal with the terrorist regimes, among other things, was to apply military force against them.
The way we did in Afghanistan.
The way, for example, I want to answer your question.
Well, I guess I'm running out of time, so I quickly was trying to get there. We've done, I think, what you proposed in Afghanistan, yet I haven't seen that sort of neighborhood effect.
Well, I think there's been an enormous effect. The effect was, we were told that there would be a contrary effect. First of all, people said that there would be tens of thousands of people streaming into Afghanistan, zealots who would be outraged by America's action, and this would produce a counter-reaction in the Arab world.
But I think you're not saying that when you take an action like we did in Afghanistan, we're going to see all the other countries just fold.
No, what we saw is something else. First of all, we saw everybody streaming out of Afghanistan. The second thing we saw is all the Arab countries and many Muslim countries trying to side with America, trying to be okay with America. The application of power is the most important thing in winning the war on terrorism. If I had to say, what are the three principles of winning the war on terror? It's like, what are the three principles of real estate, the three L's, location, location, location? The three principles of winning the war on terror are the three W's, winning, winning, and winning. The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes. The first victory in Afghanistan makes the second victory in Iraq that much easier. The second victory in Iraq will make the third victory that much easier too, but it may change the nature of achieving that victory.
I can show you videos dating back to 1996 in which Benjamin Netanyahu is testifying before Congress to say that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They were lobbying for us to invade Iraq all the way back to 1996. So to the international community, to my fellow Americans, please do not fall for the same lies again. My heart breaks for all the innocent lives that will be lost. My heart breaks for the American soldiers who are going to risk their lives on behalf of this country that is obviously lying to us right now. It is going to be a complete and utter disaster. And if you think that beating Iran or doing regime change in Iran is going to be a cakewalk, consider the fact that it has far greater landmass than Iraq does. 90 million people, far more military capability than Iraq ever had. And we couldn't even defeat the Houthis in Yemen. You think we're going to be able to beat Iran? So many people are going to die. It's going to be a disaster. Don't fall for his lies, please. I'm begging you all to read into it and research it yourself. If you take what the Israelis are saying at face value, you're going to walk into complete death and destruction.
Shalom from Tel Aviv. Today I'm giving you a guided tour of what happens when you bomb other countries for fun and act surprised when they shoot back. Stick around. Next stop, denial and international outrage. Thanks to your support, we've been ignoring war crimes since 1948.
The state of Israel is actually connected to America in a very arcane and secret way. So they are, the state of Israel is connected to the American federal system. It's very interesting. That's why America sends billions and billions and billions of dollars. All the valuable things in the world goes through Jerusalem. That's why it's the holy city. Now, we know that Israel is very important because of strategically where it sits on the trade routes to control the flow of oil, drugs, diamonds, a lot of drugs in Israel, going through Israel, and diamonds, gold, money, etc., etc. But you've got to give the people who are going to go over there and lose their lives and give their sons in war, you've got to give them a reason. So we tell them that it's religious. It's the Lord's chosen people, the Lord's people. And the Lord Himself has chosen Israel. And we give them a line. You'd be surprised what Americans love. They love that kind of stuff. And so we tell them, it's the Lord's will. And the Lord Jesus was there, and all the great prophets and all of that. And so we have to protect that little country, Israel, because it's the Lord's will.
You're not going to silence my ass by invoking the Holocaust or calling me an anti-Semite. I don't give a shit. Okay, I see what's happening clearly. I'm going to speak up about it, and no one's going to shut me up. Period. End of story. We see what's going on. The entire international community sees what's happening. The Israeli government wants to genocide and ethnically cleanse Palestinians, not just from Gaza, but the West Bank too. Look at the terror they're dealing with in the West Bank. The most offensive part about this entire conversation is how people insult our intelligence as if we're morons and we don't see clearly what is happening on the ground right now. We see it clearly. The international community sees it clearly. The only reason why our politicians here in the United States back Israel, regardless of what it does, whether we're dealing with Democrats or Republicans, is because they're all bought. But the international community sees what's going on for what it is. And it is a genocide. There's an attempted ethnic cleansing. And I'm sorry, but Egypt's not interested in aiding and abetting the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from Gaza on behalf of the Israeli government. Not interested.
No, actually.
I have to get this out. Okay? What it's distracting from is the fact that IDF soldiers are intentionally shooting at and killing desperate Palestinians as they're trying to get humanitarian aid from this Israeli-backed organization, which, of course, is able to even exist because they defamed UNRWA. They starved Palestinians for months. Shut up. They starved Palestinians for months. And then, as the Palestinians are desperate for food, they lure them in with this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and shoot at them. Upward of 200 people since late May have been shot at and killed.
Without nuclear weapons, imagine what will happen if they...
There it is. There's that word that I told you. That fantastic word. The one word that the Israelis love so much right now. Imagine. Because you have to imagine the threat. There is no real threat. We have to just use our imagination. Israelis, the most milquetoast, non-aggressive or imposing reporter is just barely prying about the concept of Iran being an actual existential threat, clear and present danger. And Milikowski has to respond with, imagine all the people.
But you can imagine what it'd be like if they did, right?
Look at his face. That's insane. He looks like pure evil. This is the textbook definition of pure evil in the face. How do you look at this face and say, oh yeah, he's a force for good. He's a force for civilization. Anyway, I think that's a very revealing word that they have to employ. And he not only says it, but so does President Herzog. They all use that I word.
A tyrannical regime, a radical, fanatic regime. For 40 years, I've been saying, we're preventing the most terrific war imaginable, and we're bringing peace to the Middle East. And I believe that after our action, we're going to be able to bring the Middle East to new heights that nobody even imagined.
He loves that word. He's just imagine. He's said it rapid fire for the past 3 minutes. He's just on an imaginary tour of the imagination.
If Iran had nuclear weapons, as is always alleged, this would not be happening. Israel would not be attacking Iran. America wouldn't dream of threatening to attack Iran if Iran had nuclear weapons. If I can put it very colloquially, succinctly, nobody will ever attack North Korea. They'll sanction it, they'll isolate it, they'll laugh at it, but they will never, ever attack it. Nobody will ever attack Pyongyang. Nobody will ever bomb Pyongyang, because Pyongyang has a government that is bristling with nuclear weapons and has the balls to use them in extremis.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
You've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
If Donald Trump launched a war in Iran, not only will I not support it, I will apologize for the rest of my life for voting for the guy. Donald Trump has betrayed MAGA, betrayed America first. He has made the most disastrous decision to lead America into another war. Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. He is going to lose his coalition over this. I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one.
This is what we've been told for 30 years, that Iran is 2 years away from a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, Israel has a nuke.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Yeah. They're not a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. I mean, it's just the reversal of reality. Who's the aggressor? You know, I mean, it's just crazy that this is the framing still, I guess, as we are at the precipice with this horrific genocidal regime, just unabashed and just brazen, committing genocide and not stopping. And the press is still running cover. And it makes me worried that I think all of these Western leaders are just buying time. Honestly, they're sitting on their hands waiting for this to be complete so they can wash their hands of Gaza, wash their hands of Netanyahu to preserve their apartheid colony and to preserve their attack dog. And it is absolutely sick what we've watched them do. And to just sit back and actually let this happen now and to provide cover for Israel and the U.S. doing this? I mean, who's going to stop them, Bree?
Ukraine gave up nukes, got invaded. Saddam Hussein gave up nukes, got invaded and executed. Gaddafi gave up chemical weapons, got invaded, raped and killed. Again, if you're the Iranians, are you not looking at this thinking, this means we need nukes? I would rather not give them an incentive to go get nuclear weapons. I'm anti-nuclear weapons for anyone. So I don't want Iran to have nukes. But the best way for Iran not to have nukes is not to attack them. That makes countries want to have nukes more. It's just rational to go, oh, the countries who have nukes like North Korea, they don't get invaded. So why give them an incentive to get more nukes? Why not actually have a weapons of mass destruction free region? You know which country does have nukes in the Middle East? Israel, in violation of UN Security Council resolutions. You know which country doesn't allow IAEA inspectors into the country? Israel. You know which country hasn't signed the NPT, unlike Iran? Israel. We should talk about Israel's nuclear weapons, which actually incentivize others in the regions, not just Israel, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, to think about nuclear weapons of their own. I'd rather not have more nukes in the Middle East with anyone. You and I oppose Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We agree on that, right? Putin claimed that Ukraine would one day attack Russia with NATO support. That's why I'm doing it. That was a argument. You and I rejected Putin's argument in Ukraine. You and I have rejected the Israeli argument now in Gaza. You don't believe what they're saying about Gaza. I don't know why you're believing them on this when you were rightly calling out the from the UK and the US in 2003 over Iraq. Saddam Hussein was not an imminent threat, and Iran was not an imminent threat, and Israel attacked them illegally last week while there were nuclear negotiations going on. Piers, one last point. If Israel cared about stopping a nuclear weapon, you would go back into a nuclear deal that prevents Iran from a weapon. And guess who they killed on Thursday night? Not just generals, Piers. They killed Ali Shamkhani, the lead nuclear negotiator who was supposed to be in Oman yesterday with the Americans.
Iran is not an existential threat to Israel, but it is a strategic threat. Now, let's compare the records of these two countries. Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy?
I regard the United States as the most lawless and dangerous country in the world by far. You cannot believe how much misinformation we get every single day. Because I have advised more than 100 governments around the world. I have seen things with my own eyes. I've seen US CIA coups with my own eyes. Governments lie, but superpowers make super lies. And if you're running the largest war machine in the world, hey, you are going to lie all the time. The entire Iraq war was not because they thought there were weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction was the outcome of a focus group inside the Pentagon. How are we going to sell this war to the American people? Who made the decision 2 days ago that ATACMS can shoot deep inside Russia? Another brilliant move. We don't even know if the President of the United States is compos mentis right now. We have a deep state that takes these decisions, not a word of explanation to the American people. It's all lies. And I've seen it all through my life because I've been advisors to prime ministers and to presidents and to central bank governors and to some of the wonderful people on this panel. And I've seen a lot.
Israel illegally and criminally attacked Iran this weekend. Criminal because a lot of civilians, including children, were killed, and nuclear power plants were deliberately targeted, creating this way the risk of a nuclear catastrophe with mass civilian victims. Now this is terrible, and so I was saying, like we did when Russia attacked Ukraine, the European Union will condemn this. But what do I see? No. Ursula von der Leyen even insists on the right of Israel to defend itself. But to defend itself what? They're the ones attacking. They're the ones having the nukes.